Hey folks, okay, I'm going to be continuing with my top favorite CDs. And this video actually, or at least with this artist here and the set I'm going to show you here, I did this video just about a week ago. And my microphone, my DJI thing that I usually clip on here and connect it to my camera, the adapter, it died on me. So all the audio was basically, you couldn't hear nothing. So I had to use the built-in microphone to do the other video, the other top favorite CD. But I'm here to actually redo one of the ones I did last week, and that is the Monkees, which I missed out on an M. I know I did, and it was the Monkees. And they were definitely one of those great, well, you know, they were kind of, at first, a manufactured group. Of course, the guy that was behind all that was Don Kirshner, and he was definitely one of those, I would say, definitely one of those. I don't know, but he was definitely a great business guy, and just made some of the great pop songs that you can imagine. And of course, he produced for you know, the Sugar, you know, the Archies and stuff, and he had the Kirshner's Rock Show in the '70s. Yeah, but before all that, he was well, he kind of dates back to the early '60s, but at least this was really the kind of height of his power when he brought Mickey Dolenz, Davy Jones, Michael Nesmith, and Peter Tork to form the. Well, at first they were, at least to some people's eyes, were fictional, but they became a real band, you know, at least within their third album. And I really like all their albums, so I'm going to kind of go through them one by one here. And we'll start it off here with their first one, Meet the Monkees. Well, it's just called the Monkees. Yeah, almost 60 years now. Well, this album would be turning. And it's got the theme from the Monkees, which I know it cheapens it and perhaps lowers the quality of the album, but I don't mind it. You know, it's a theme, you know. And you got Saturday's Child, which I do love the Herman's Hermits version, but I think their version really kicks ass. Tomorrow's Gonna Be Another Day. I love that one. It's a little bit in the psychedelic, but it's still a little bit just your usual poppy, your hooky poppy song. Papa Jean's Blues, that was the first vocal done by, of course, Papa Nez, as they call him, Michael Nesmith. And Take a Giant Step, which is the Carole King song, which is really great, and I also like her version too. And of course, the flip one of the side two, obviously, Last Train to Clarksville. And I think the album kind of derails a little bit towards the end, but it's still fun. I like their debut. So from there, they came out with More of the Monkees from early '67. And I like this one too. Maybe perhaps a little bit more than the first one. And it's got a great opening song, She, which I think everybody knows. Mary Mary, which I think a lot of people connected with Mary, you know, the whole druggy thing and stuff like that. Your Auntie Griselda, which is the Peter Tork song, and I know that he does a song later on in their discography. I believe it was just before he leaves the band. And I'm Not Your Stepping Stone. What a great song. Great freaking song. Written by, you know, and even Last Train to Clarksville. They pretty much wrote the big hits for the Monkees, which is, you know, the duo, Tommy Boyce and Bobby Hart. I do like, I believe, there is one cheesy song, The Day We Fall in Love, which I think was sung by Davy Jones. And of course, I'm a believer. It is one of those songs, it's hard to resist to listen to it, even though it is a bit overplayed. But really great album. And I also like, which I think is my favorite Monkees album, and that's Headquarters from, I believe it's the summer of '67 when it came out. And I like this one. And then this was them kind of, I think maybe the second album, I think Nesmith played a little bit of some guitar leads, but mostly the Wrecking Crew. And, you got people, some of the Wrecking Crew, well, no, I actually believe that they pretty much played all the instruments on here. And they also brought in Chip Douglas, who also played with the Turtles. And he played on that the Happy Together album. But it starts off with the Michael Nesmith song You Told Me, which is really, really great opening track for this album. And Forget That Girl by Davy Jones. That's kind of like one of those stupid, cheesy songs he has on every one of these albums, but it's great. Also like the other Nesmith song, You Just May Be the One. Has a little bit of a country tinge to it. Can't Get Her Off My Mind, which sounds a little cabaret-ish, and it definitely has a little bit of that, I guess, vaudeville vibe. And For Pete's Sake, which actually was the end credits to, I believe it was for the second season of the Monkees, which was actually written by Peter Tork. And I like No Time. That's always kind of a fun one. And Rowdy Skowskit, I never really got into that song. It was kind of like I feel like most Monkees fans really like that song. I'm not really a big fan on that one. But yeah, I like Headquarters, and this is kind of them experimenting a little bit, but still, in the Monkees poppy kind of, still in their, what do you call them, their realm or whatever. Pieces, I even like the name too. Pieces, Aquarius, Capricorn, and Jones Limited. And this came out towards the end of the end of '67. And it's got some really great ones. Of course, the opening, Salesman. I even like the cheesy, cuddly toy, which I think Mickey Dolenz sings on. Let's see. And it's got the big hit Pleasant Valley Sunday, of course, another Carole King, which they do quite a number of her songs. And that's definitely a big one from hers. I like, and even the last track, which is kind of really fun. It's called Star Collector, which is a good song. And again, produced by Chip Douglas. Now, this was the album here where they're kind of, they're splintering, kind of like the White Album, the Beatles. They weren't, they all had different things on their minds, and they rather perhaps do a solo thing. But this was the last one with all four of the Monkees. And Peter Tork actually leaves after this album. And it's actually, and I feel like this is more of a psychedelic album more than the other one. And it starts off with Dream World, which kind of sets the tone for the album. I like Tapioca Tundra. That's kind of a tongue twister. And it also has the big hit Daydream Believer, which everybody out of their mom knows. And another one too is The Poster. That's actually a really, really hidden gem on the album, even in their discography. And of course, Valerie, everybody knows that song. And Zor and Zan, which is kind of a weird song. Very, very strange. And then they also had the movie, Head or whatever. That really just bombed. And Jack Nicholson produced, I believe he was the producer for the movie. But yeah, Head. Or I believe he was also the director too as well. But yeah, this one's definitely more in that vein. I believe in that vein of more of a psychedelic album. And it's got some other people in here, including Frank Zappa. He's also on here. But I believe the Porpoise song was kind of like kind of the hit on here. I believe the Peter Tork song, I forgot what the name of it is, that's on here. And Circle Sky, which they kind of did later on in their reunion albums, I believe it was Just For Us, where they redid Circle Sky. It might be Can You Dig It? I'm pretty sure, I believe that's the one that Peter Tork sings on. One of the few, at least. But, yeah, I like this one. So he leaves the group, and then they had 2 albums released in '69. One's called Instant Replay, and the other one is called Present. So this one was like earlier in the year, and this one came out towards the end. And these albums are quite okay. I actually kind of prefer this one a little bit. And it's got a really great opening track, Through the Looking Glass, sung by, which is written by Boyce and Hart, but sung by Mickey Dolenz. And I also like Teardrop City because it has a bit of that vein of Last Train to Clarksville. And I believe these last 2, they were kind of pulling a lot of the stuff from the archives from their during the recording sessions from their debut album. So it's got a little bit of that, but these are quite fine. I kind of like them for what they are. And then this one, which actually was like their last album of the era of the Monkees, I think it was like 1970. I really hardly ever play this one. It's Changes, produced by Jeff Berry. And I think there's only one song in here I actually kind of like, Oh My My. But that's about it. I don't really play it too often. But anyways, there you go, the Monkees. I think they're really more than, kind of like I believe they're kind of like the Rascals a little bit, where I feel like they're more than just the hit singles. Because I really do think their albums are actually pretty worth listening to. And yeah, the Monkees are great. There you have it, folks. Take care. Bye-bye.